Hey everyone, welcome back to TS Friday. I'm your host Ayesha, bringing you fresh takes and fast answers from the front lines of talent acquisition every Friday. Joining me today is Aanchal Shukla from Thoughtworks, where she's shaping strategic hiring and driving meaningful candidate experiences in a tech driven environment. So let's dive into it with Aanchal. But before that, Aanchal, could you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Aisha. Hello, everyone. I'm Aanchal, and I have been working with ThoughtWorks for past 6 years now. Overall, I have 9 years of industry experience. I basically work at the intersection of recruiting and program management, where my focus is less on filling roles, but more on fixing how roles get filled. So that's all about me.
Aanchal, you've been a TA program manager for the past few years. How is your role fundamentally different from a recruiter's day to day routine?
So as a recruiter, I think I was focused more on, closing roles, getting roles filled. But
Right.
if we talk about as a program manager, focus more on fixing the system that closes those roles, right?
Excited to know more about you, Anchal.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at hiring from a program level, what's the first
Mm-hmm.
signal that tells you a system is broken, even if roles are still being closed?
I think inconsistency, because if filler roles or regions or recruiters are delivering very different outcomes for the same option or for the same program, it
Right.
means there's some issue, right? It's a strong signal that something isn't working out, even
Got
if hiring is still happening. That's how we can figure out, okay, there's some or the other problem going on here.
Makes sense. According to you, that brings me to my next question. What's harder, building scalable hiring frameworks or driving adoption across stakeholders?
Driving adoption every time, because frameworks are logical, right? But adoption is emotional. It's dependent on humans. It involves behavioral change, it involves trust, incentives, etc., etc. And that's where most frameworks fail, because it's very human dependent kind of a thing. Driving adoption is always difficult.
How do you balance structure and flexibility when designing hiring programs across teams or regions?
Standardizing the what, I think that is very important, like designing for guardrails rather than rigidity, because what happens is when we talk about stages, metrics, or principles,
Right.
we standardize them and allow flexibility on how you should use them or work on them based on the market or your region or your role. And that's what makes it scalable, because one size fits to all approach doesn't really work when you are working on a global scale, right? So
Right.
that's what we look for.
So, what's one process change that you implemented that had a measurable impact? Anything from your personal stories?
There are many, but one thing that I definitely liked, or I was, you can say, proud of, was like having standardized interview expectations or interviewer expectations through, having those interviewer playbooks, standardized kits for interviewers, and
Right.
training for them, because that improved consistency in feedback, reduced decision making bias that we usually face, and also improved offer conversion, because they interviewers finally know what they should be assessing in a candidate when hiring for that role. That was one of the process change which had measurable impact and is still working for us, because we are still following those interview kits and processes that we have built in the past, and constantly refreshing them on and off. So yeah, that's the one.
You got a chance to redesign the hiring life cycle at a macro
Hmm.
level, what would you remove first?
The answer, I think, comes from my previous answer, which was like having structured interviews. So what I would remove is having those unstructured interviews across different regions, because all regions have very different ways of working,
Correct.
ways of assessing candidates. So if I could, then I would definitely remove any such structural differences within the regions when we talk about interviews or hiring, because they create bias for sure, inconsistency, and problem in data reporting, because you cannot compare things between regions. So removing them helps us better understand what's happening in the regions, along with making better decisions, and of course faster alignment as well. So that's something I would do. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's an interesting vision, Anchal. Audiences, get your popcorn and coffee because we're moving on to our favorite round, and that's the rapid fire round. So, my first question to you, Anchal, if TA programs had a warning label, what would it say?
Results may vary if stakeholder alignment is missing.
What's more complex, stakeholders alignment or data alignment?
Stakeholder alignment for sure, because data doesn't have opinion, right? Data doesn't have opinions where stakeholders do. So stakeholder alignment is always more complex.
One word for global rollout.
Nuanced, with different people, different time zones, different structures.
Your favorite phase, design, implementation, or optimization?
Optimization, always, because that's what you actually work for, right? Where you
Right.
turn your good into great. So that's optimization.
One metric leaders obsess over, but you look beyond it.
Time to hire. I think everyone is looking for time to hire, time to offer, accept. But I personally feel quality is more important.
An early sign that a hiring program won't scale.
And it depends on, you can say, people or hero behavior instead of a repeatable process, because
Right.
we are dependent on people for the process to scale, which is definitely not the right way to do things.
One thing recruiters wish program managers understood better.
Relating them to ground reality, because they wish we should understand does the candidate market works, hiring manager behavior, the market dynamics in different regions. So I think relating to the ground realities is what they wish, I'm sure, that we should understand for.
One mindset shift required to move from recruiter to a program leader.
Definitely systems thinking,
Mhm.
systems and strategic thinking as compared to what earlier used to be more of execution. So from execution to systems thinking is the shift that is required when you are moving from a recruiter to a program manager.
What do you think is the role of AI, and how is AI shaping the talent acquisition process according to you?
I think like being very close to because I look after AI, data and AI roles in Thoughtworks when it comes to refreshes and all of those things. So
Right.
I think it's definitely a bonus or an add-on for all of us, but we shouldn't be fully dependent on it. It
Right.
can always be a support system where we build the first draft, we get it involved in our thinking, in our systems thinking, but not really fully dependent on it. We still need to have the guardrails where we go in and look at the data or look at the responses derived from them, because
Absolutely.
we still need that level of control there. It's very good if used in a proper way or in a controlled way, I would say. So and I'm a strong believer of using AI, at least now after so much of AI evolution across the market, across the globe. So in favor of it for sure, always.
Any last thoughts that you have, or any piece of advice that you would like to share with our audiences or with fellow recruiters or TA managers?
Not really. Thank you for having me here. It was a very short and quick and good interaction for sure. I was happy to share how things work, because people always, when we talk about recruiting, we always say talent operations or a recruiter or a recruiting lead, but I think very less people know about there are program managers who also work on all of these things, right? Who
Absolutely.
build these systems and all of those things. So I feel happy to be here and share that side of the coin, which people usually don't even know about. So
Right.
thank you for having me here, and I enjoyed this session.
Thank you so much for bringing this part of the recruitment or this part of the talent acquisition to us. So that's a wrap on this TS Friday episode. Huge thanks to Aanchal for sharing honest, practical perspectives from the world of talent acquisition. And if this episode sparked a thought or a smile, do share it with someone from your TA circle. See you next Friday. Thank you. Thank you, Aanchal.
Thank you, Ayesha.